The Board of Electorals and Body Art Prisoners meeting is convening at 9:10 on April 21st, 2025. This meeting is being held in person and through MS Teams video conference and is being recorded. The recording will be posted in the internet for public viewing. I now call roll. Audrey Jones.
He's absent today.
Paul Thomas, I'm present. Roxana Tyson.
Present.
Nathan Morelli.
Present.
John Dickerson. All right. Yeah, Rebecca Flan. And
she was going to try. Go ahead. Sorry.
And Brian Gooden.
Present.
All right. Members, when you wish to speak, please state your last name for the record. Board members are asked not to use the chat feature during meetings. The Health Licensing Office, HLO, asks that individuals attending through MS Teams keep their phones muted and cameras off during the entire meeting or until they are given the opportunity to comment during the public and interested parties' feedback period if indicated on the agenda. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what the board has statutory authority to regulate. Public members wishing to speak, please sign in on the roster sheet available in the room or email Josh Page at josh.page@oha.oregon.gov and provide your first and last name. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business. Okay.
All right. It didn't look like we don't have public comment today on the agenda, but what we need first today is approval of the agenda. So we can have someone.
Brian Gooden, I motion to approve.
Second.
Come back.
Okay, Bob, this is Ann. So we had a first from Brian. We need a second once we confirm that Nathan's back on.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I can second the agenda.
Who was that, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Nathan Morelli. Just weird glitch in the internet. Sorry.
Thank you. So once we confirm we're all up, we need a roll call vote, please.
Paul, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. We need a roll call of the vote, please. Approval of the agenda.
Okay, how do I do that? Do I have to ask for a roll call to approve?
Yeah, so just run down your list. Yeah.
Okay. Paul Thomas, approve. Roxana Tyson.
Approve.
Okay. Nathan Morelli.
Approve.
John Dickerson. All right. Rebecca Flom. And Brian Gooden.
Approve.
Okay. I believe, I don't have a chart for this. And is that approved and carried?
Makes it approved.
Yep.
And chairs Bob Bothwell. For the folks that are not here today, you don't have to continue to call them unless they show up. It looks like Rebecca may try from the airport. That was in February. Disregard. She's not going to be here today. Okay. Next item on the agenda is policy. Ann?
Thank you, Bob. For the record, my name is Ann Thompson. I'm the policy analyst for this board. I appreciate everyone being willing to show up for what is a special board meeting. the reason we are gathering today, in addition to the last minute case edition, which when you read it, you'll know why we wanted to add it. We had a temporary rule that leadership had me file in December when there was an error discovered in intent in one of the electrolysis licensure pathways. Pathway 4 was supposed to be, and again, I wasn't there for that rulemaking, a way for people to either come straight out of a training program, so they would have education and training, or they would have experience in electrology and obtain licensure through Pathway 4. It was discovered by one of our staff that the rule actually said and. So you would have to have education, training, and experience. And that's an extremely critical conjunction when you're either trying to license people fresh out of a training program or who have been doing the work for a long time. So I filed a temporary rule correcting that. And if you notice on Pathway 4 in your packet materials that this particular correction in intent, we made it retroactive. And that meant that anyone who was licensed using this rule back to when the rules were changed in 2023, it would cover them because the intent was not being fulfilled by the rule. Now, the thing about temporary rules is you can file them without the traditional rulemaking process, but they expire. There is a timer on them. So this particular rule will expire mid-June. So for that reason, we need to start permanent rulemaking and get this put in stone because it is going to expire. So that's why we're here today. Again, I appreciate your willingness to join for a meeting. So one of the parts of permanent rulemaking is that I wanted to discuss with the board the fiscal impact, because when we file a permanent rule, well, this will be proposed, of course, and we'll open public comment. But one of the things that we have to do, some of you might have heard this before, is we have to provide a fiscal impact statement. What costs, positive, negative, savings, might this rule have on individuals, small business owners, units of government? And for that, I'm relying on my built-in subject matter experts, also called board members. When we're done with that part, I wanted to kind of get your brain going. We need a racial equity statement. For the last few years, whenever you file a rule, the legislature wants, and Secretary of State wants the rule filer to put a statement in about how this rule might close the racial equity gap, because the understanding is there's systemic racism and in government and rulemaking, and there might be some way that this rule would help close that gap. One of the things we were thinking about was electrolysis is so important with gender affirming care. But anyway, just to get you kind of thinking in the right direction. So does anyone have a question on the rule itself? Pathway 4. No? Okay. So would any of you be kind enough to, I saw you pop on, Roxanne.
I popped on because I'm very interested and I read it a couple times.
Mhm.
So I was trying to reread it before I asked a question. So as the rule states now, people can either, and we're talking about from like state to state, right? Or maybe from another country into Oregon.
That would be Pathway 3.
That would be
Reciprocity from another state or jurisdiction, the scenario that you are referring to. Pathway 4 was, my information was that it's sort of a catch-all category because right now there are no schools in Oregon. So the idea is we have a training program that some approved supervisors are teaching over the border in Washington, and they're doing our training program. And the idea being, If you come out of that training program, you're going to have experience and education, or education and training. But you're not going to have experience that per se, because you're going to be coming straight out of a training program. The other part of it was experience. Some states don't license electrologists. You might have been practicing for a good number of years. You might have a lot of very satisfied customers, but you don't have a license to provide you with reciprocity, which means you're licensed in good standing. You come here, we give you a license, right? You might be just out practicing in a state that doesn't require licensure, but you're bringing in a wealth of experience and you practice safely and you have, healthy clients and all that. So this provides sort of one of those catch-all categories. But when it was original, and license pathway 4 is how we would propose to make it permanent. The way the old rule was that I replaced with the temporary rule, it said that you had to have education, experience, and training. And people coming straight out of a training program wouldn't have that experience component. And I was told by leadership the intent was to have one, education and training or experience. And so that's what this will do.
Education they can't come in straight from school. Experience has to accompany education or licensing, but licensing but they can come in with just experience. Okay, I think I understand now.
Yeah, it's you either equivalent, and the word is equivalent.
Sorry,
we would compare.
I have my camera on.
That's okay. Sometimes it's okay to cut the camera off because we can have bandwidth issues.
I didn't mean to have it on at all. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So the idea being equivalent, and that's when we measure what kind of training that you have, to make sure that it's up to snuff. So you either have equivalent experience or educations and training. So again, this is the catch-all category, and the error in intent was discovered, and so now we're looking to rectify that. This is in place right now, but this will expire in mid-June. Does that answer your question, Roxana?
It does. Here, now I'm trying to get back on the. Sorry, I don't know how to use this app all that well.
That's okay.
Yes, it does. Now, and I'm just going to reread it. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Of course, thank you for the question. If there are any other questions, of course, you can jump right in. I'm here for you, and so is Bob. But if you would be so kind as to kind of ponder the fiscal impact of this. Is it positive in that we could, because there's an underfilled need for electrolysis in Oregon. Is this something that would be positive, that would allow people with different pathways to get a license and thus, be able to make a living? Or is this the way it's written? I can't put words in your mouth, but would this affect units of government or small businesses? Is this positive, negative? I just need all of your thoughts so I can file this.
Well, I will say that I do think it's important to make it possible for electrolysis because it's kind of a dying, I don't know how to say that, but there's fewer and fewer of them. And you said do not have training in Oregon for electrology?
Let me clarify. Currently, there are no licensed schools teaching it. So that's why back in 2023, it's my understanding that there was a mandate that more people wanted gender affirming care, and there was an underserved need.
Yeah.
And so the rules were put in place to try to, obviously one of the pathways is graduating from a career school, which we don't have. And so at the time they were saying, okay, well, we have this training program that we created and we have supervisors that are teaching it, but they're not licensed. Right. I'm sorry?
Are those like apprenticeship style? Like people could do an apprenticeship for?
Well, it's kind of it's a training program that includes, theory and supervised practice, but they're not licensed schools Like we have licensed tattoo schools, we have cosmetology schools. There aren't any of those right now in Oregon. So these are the sort of teachers that are, that are interested in growing the profession, and they're following our training program and turning out students. One of them is right over the border in Washington. And so it's sort of a way to continue to get folks trained up that are interested in the profession without actually having a school.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I like that. I agree that the need for electrolysis is still there, and you bringing up the gender affirming care. Yeah, I get it. Cause I, as an esthetician, and then I also do permanent makeup, I tell people all the time that that's their best alternative if they can find it,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll pause myself. Thank you.
No, that's great. So you think that would be that the rule would have a positive
I would,
impact, more people getting licensed and being able to make a living?
I think making electrolysis as far as the gender affirming care, and like, say, for example, if you have, a young man transitioning to a woman and they just have a few hairs, I mean, the practicality of electrolysis for somebody like that, yeah, it's there. Laser doesn't really do, certain hairs, and it's small is. And when you have just a few hairs, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I would say it definitely would help the whole, I forget what you called it, as far as gender affirming care and making it more available, and yeah, making it possible to learn. Yeah, bring it back would be great.
Yeah, it's my understanding, again, for the record, this is Anne. It's my understanding that certain skin, you have to have high contrast between your skin and hair color for lasers to work. And for individuals of color, without a lot of contrast, electrolysis really the best option for hair reduction, hair
Yeah,
removal, and it's very, very
yeah,
difficult. Yeah. So that's my
yeah,
understanding.
yeah. Your understanding, yeah, totally correct. And yeah, you get just little baby clusters of hair on chins and mustaches and stuff like that. Electrolysis is great for that. Laser's kind of a lot expense wise and everything. Yeah, it's definitely a good alternative for them. And I would say yes, as far as making a statement as to, I think it would be great to make it more available and affordable, and as far as that gender affirming care goes.
Okay. You're incredibly helpful, Roxanne. I really appreciate it. Affordable
Thank
and available.
I'm going to work on not interrupting as I do it.
Oh,
Mute
Roxana, please, as long as you identify yourself for the record, because when we have conversations, I know it's a stilted methodology, but we have to use that so we can identify, who is speaking, especially if we're not in a room and you can see it on the recording. So if you could let us know. But no, all of your information is appreciated.
Okay,
So
yeah, and I write stuff out too. So I'm supposed to introduce myself as Tyson. You said the last name first.
yeah, or just say Roxana, just so that we know who's speaking.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I actually have a lot to say about that, so I don't want to take up too much time, but yeah, all that I said. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have a thought to add to either the fiscal impact, if this would be positive or negative, and how individuals, units of government, small businesses, and anything having to do with reducing the racial equity gap that exists? Okay, I'm not seeing anything right now. So if we've kind of done what we need to do, there's a couple of steps that we have to take. The issue statement kind of gives you an idea of why we're here, what it's about, and our recommendation. And our recommendation is to adopt the proposed rule. One of the things that will require us to do, though, is to add an additional short special board meeting to adopt the permanent rule. So I am looking, if you guys could grab your calendars, because this would be a super shorty. This would just be log on, review public comment. If we get a lot of public comment, you would have to consider it as part of the permanent rulemaking process. So I'm looking at like June 9th. That's Monday seemed to be a good day for you. If June 9th, and everybody check your calendars, if a quick meeting on June 9th is possible, and I'm thinking 9 a.m. because we like to keep things uniform. What we could do is when we go to make a motion, we could, somebody could make a motion and second to approve the proposed rule. And we can do a separate one to add a board meeting, or we can do them together. It's really up to you guys. Is everyone available on June 9th?
This is Paul Thomas. I am.
This Brian Gooden works for me.
Okay, Brian, great. Roxana?
Works for me.
Okay.
I can do June 9th.
Was that?
Oh, sorry,
Bri-
Nathan
Brian-
Morelli. I can do.
Oh,
June 9th.
Nathan, wonderful. So if we have at least 4, it's a go. It's always a little scary when you only have 4, but we can go ahead and pencil in June 9th at 9 a.m. for just to review any public comment gathered. I will say that when I filed this temporary, we let everybody know. And there, I got a couple of questions where people were a little confused. Does this mean I need to do something extra or whatever? No, it's just kind of clarifying what was there. Review any comment and we can just vote it permanent and this will be in stone. So if we are ready to go, if somebody would make a motion, I don't believe that our standing chair can. We need a motion and a second to adopt the proposed rule.
This is Brian Gooden. I motion to adopt.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
This is Paul Thomas. I second.
Thank you, Paul. So I can do a roll call really quickly if that works for everybody. Let's see. Roxana?
I'm present.
Oh, if you could aye or nay on the proposed rule.
Oh, aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
Fabulous. Okay, so that was unanimous. So if we could get a motion and a second to add a June 9th board meeting and to, adopt the administrative rule schedule. I need a motion and a second to adopt the rule schedule.
Can I give the motion? Paul Thomas.
Well, you're the acting chair, so I would say no. Is
Okay.
Nathan Morelli, I start the motion.
Thank you, Nathan. Do I have a second?
Paul Thomas. I second.
Okay, Paul, that'll work. And so this is a motion to adopt the rules schedule. Roxana?
Am I allowed to do that?
Oh, yeah,
Or-
yes,
or-
this is
or-
aye or
oh,
nay.
Roxana, aye.
Great. Brian?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you all so very much. So this is the end of my part of the board meeting. I wanted to thank you again for being willing to have a special, and I will turn it over. I believe we have an executive session now, so back to you, Bob.
Okay,
And
thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm sorry. I know you guys are trying. Can I just say one more thing to you, Anne?
Of course,
at first
Roxanne.
I have to put stuff down, and because I interrupted you, but yeah, what you were saying about the differences between the way laser and electrology works, as I'm thinking about it, it would help close the racial gap and the gender equality gap because of the differences in the skin types. And I don't have to get into all that, but because of the differences, it does help that too, actually, as I think about it. Okay.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Okay. So if there are no other, I'm checking all the little bubbles, and I think we're fine. So Bob, I think we can transition to the next part of the board meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is executive session. So, Chair, you have script for that? Because you started
Yeah,
with
the
that
one I
this
read,
morning.
the one I read next to the first time. Yeah. All right. I hope I'm more
Alright.
polished this time. All right. The Board of Electrolysis and Body Art Practitioners will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602F and ORS 676.590 for the purpose of considering information exempt from public disclosure at 9:35 a.m. on April 21st, 2025. Representatives of the news media shall be allowed to attend the executive session. Audience members attending through MS Teams will now be moved into a separate breakout room, and audience members attending in person are asked to leave the room both for the duration of the executive session. Those authorized to attend the executive session, please continue to keep your phone muted and cameras off. Okay, are there any representatives of the news media on MS Teams?
Chair, I don't believe there are.
All right, recognizing there is no news media in attendance, the public will be moved into a separate breakout room for the duration of the executive session. We will return to open session before taking any final action or making any final decisions. The Board of Electrolysis and Body Art Practitioners will now exit executive session and reconvene open session at 10:04 a.m. No final decisions were made and no votes were taken in executive session. The public will be moved from the breakout room back into the meeting, and representatives of the media may once again report all board discussions and actions.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So in case number 25-11210, the board moves to revoke the respondent's tattoo and facility license, assess the cost of any disciplinary proceedings, and allow the office to take any additional actions as needed.
If,
Nathan,
go ahead, Nathan.
this is Nathan Morelli. I approve the motion.
This is Paul Thomas. I second the motion.
No, Paul, you cannot. It has
Oh,
to be
sorry.
your central acting chair.
Got it.
This is Brian Gooden. I second.
Okay. Then I will do roll call. Audrey Jones, not present. Paul Thomas, I approve. Roxana Tyson,
I approve.
Nathan Morelli,
Aye.
John Dickerson, Rebecca Flom, and Brian Gooden.
Aye.
Okay. We got all four. That's all we had on the agenda, folks.
Okay.
So, Chair, if you wish, you can read us out of,
All right.
Sorry.
Am I reading the public and interested parties feedback period part, or just the adjourn?
Adjournment, please.
Okay. The Board of Electors and Body Art Practitioners meeting is adjourned at 10:06 a.m.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I will see you in the next one.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.